If you don't own a sewing machine, or if you already have one and didn't know you can make money from it, today I will talk to you about a business idea for 2026 because I made this Jolly Rogers pirate flag. And apparently, this flag is very popular because the other day I was surfing on eBay and I saw one listing that caught my attention because it sold a lot of flags. But of course, these flags are made with a professional printing machine. But for those that know me, I make my flags handmade from home, vintage style. And I take my time, but I must admit that this one took me a while. But I will sell it for a good price. But I invite you guys to check out the previous video of how I made this Denmark flag step by step. And I also have other videos on how I sold these other flags, and I sold them for a good price. So I invite you guys to check out those videos too. But this one I will show you, of course, step by step how I made this Jolly Rogers flag, and I gave it my unique touch, which is the cord and hand sewn. But what I noticed is that most Jolly Rogers flags are sold like a square or rectangle, but I had this idea to give this flag a distress and a rebel look. So we will see if I sell it. But of course, I would really appreciate if you guys like this video, if you like it, and also if you share it on social media, so that way this helps us with the algorithm, because you will be amazed of all the money that you can make from home with just a $220 machine like this sewing machine. And the best part is that most people can afford this machine, especially if you live in the US. So if you guys like this business idea for 2026, I will appreciate if you buy your machine through our links that I will leave on the description or on the first comment on this video. And this will help us create more great content for you and business ideas. So I bought 2 yards of this black fabric, and the first thing we're gonna do is unfold it, of course, and then we're gonna cut the whole width of the fabric, which is 44 inches by 25 inches height. Also, try to use a white pencil to trace on darker fabrics like this one. For this design, I will need a stencil, so I'm gonna use a decal, so I will use my Graphtec vinyl cutter, but you can also use a Cameo 4, which is a very much cheaper machine. I will leave some links for vinyl cutters too on the description. Once our decal is ready, then we start weeding out. If you live in the US and you don't own a vinyl cutter or you don't want to buy one, we can provide you a decal. Just let us know in the comments if you want one. My plan is to place this decal on my white fabric and use it as a guide to stitch. After we finish weeding out the decal, it is time to place the transfer on top of it. And the way I'm going to do it is by placing my transfer upside and then placing my decal upside down like this. And I'm just going to put some pressure and try to even out. Then I flip it and use the squeegee. Now we cut the edges from this decal. And now my decal is ready. It is a little bit wrinkled, but it's okay. I'm just gonna use it as a guide. Now we're gonna place our decal on top of the white fabric, but first we're gonna remove the transfer from the paper. Once we place the decal where we want it and remove the transfer, it is time to cut around the decal, but make sure you leave enough space so that way when we are stitching around it, we have plenty of space. And this was a folded fabric, so now we cut it in half, and the other section will go on the other side of the flag because this is going to be a double-sided flag. And it is time to start stitching our design on the flag, and we choose the front side, but first we're gonna make sure that it is well centered, so we use a measuring tape for that, and we do this before we pin the other side. And after we center our design in the front, it is time to pin it, and you can use as many pins as you want. The more pins you use, the better. And after that, then we can pin the other side too, because remember, this is going to be a double-sided flag. Now it is time to pin the other side. Make sure you leave 2 pins in the corners sticking out, so that way you use them as a reference. After we pin the back side, it is time to start stitching the front side. We're gonna start with straight stitching first before we add the zigzag. But before I start sewing the design, I add some more pins, so that way when I'm moving the design, it doesn't move or wrinkle. And for this project, I'm gonna use my Singer Prisma machine, and then we're gonna start stitching now around the design. I'm gonna leave some links below. And as I mentioned, to secure the design, I'm going to start with a straight stitching around the design. Then we're gonna finish with a zigzag stitching. And the reason why I start with a straight stitching is because it is much easier to move the design around and go around the design. If you stitch on top of the decal, do not worry, you will be able to remove it later. If you feel safer to trace the design with a pencil, you can do that, but since this is a black decal, it is much easier for me to go around the design and be able to see where I am stitching. And I know this might take some time, but since this is not going to be a printed design, that is the reason why I will try to sell it for a good price. After we stitch the design, we remove the decal, and it is time to start cutting the extra fabric. And as I explained, once we finish removing the fabric around the design, then we're gonna zigzag stitch around. And before we start zigzag stitching on the design, we cut some of the threads with scissors. And now it is time to start zigzag stitching around the design. This process is really important because it will prevent the fabric from shredding. And that is the reason why we take our time to do this, to make a good presentation. And now this is how the design looks like after zigzag stitching. Now we cut the extra threads. And now we added the section where our rope is gonna go. Now we're gonna stitch around the flag. And after I stitch around, I use a white pencil to trace our distress effect around the flag. And here I trace the patterns where I'm going to cut through the flag to make the distress effect. But first I'm gonna zigzag stitch around. After we zigzag stitch, it is time to cut with the scissors. Remember, this prevents the fabric from shredding. We make sure we only cut through the distress pattern, so that way we don't cut on spots where the fabric might shred. So that is why you must be careful, you only cut where you zigzag stitch. After we finish cutting the flag, it is time to add the most crucial part of this flag, which is the cord or the rope, and then we hand sew. And this is how our Jolly Rogers flag looks like. Well, my friends, this is it for this episode. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, also share this on social media. And if you like this business idea, don't forget that I will leave some links below from different machines and different prices. I really recommend this machine, the Singer Prisma. It only costs $220, but if you want to buy a more professional machine, then you can go ahead and do that. But this is just a side job for me, and it is just enough to make good money from home. Thank you so much. We will see you in the next episode.